Have you ever stood at the edge of a decision, paralyzed by the fear of failure? Have you ever chosen the safe path, only to wonder, years later, what could have been? Welcome to Inner Spark, where we explore the depths of the human experience and ignite the courage within you. Today, we're diving into a truth that might sting at first, but will ultimately set you free. Regret is worse than failure. Let's start with a simple question. What's the one thing you've always wanted to do but never did? Maybe it's starting a business, writing a book, pursuing a passion, or even telling someone how you truly feel. Whatever it is, it's likely tied to a fear of failure, of judgment, of not being enough. But here's the thing, failure is temporary. Regret lingers. It whispers in your ear when you're lying in bed at night, asking, what if? Take John, for example. John dreamed of being a musician. In his 20s, he played in small bars and cafes. But when his family told him to get a real job, he listened. Fast forward 30 years, and John sits at his desk, staring at old photos of himself on stage. He's successful by society standards, but every time he hears a song on the radio, he wonders, what if I had kept going? John didn't fail at music. He never gave himself the chance to. And now that regret is a weight he carries every day. Regret is a powerful emotion because it's rooted in inaction. It's the pain of not knowing what could have been. Studies show that people are more likely to regret the things they didn't do than the things they did, even if those actions led to failure. Why? Because failure at least means you tried. Regret means you never gave yourself the chance. Now let's talk about failure. Failure is not the enemy. In fact, failure is one of the greatest teachers you'll ever have. Think about Thomas Edison. He failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. When asked about his failures, he famously said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. What if Edison had given up after the first try? What if he had let the fear of failure stop him? The world would be a darker place, literally. Here's the truth. When you take risks, you might fail, but when you play it safe, you guarantee regret. Regret is the price of inaction. It's the cost of letting fear dictate your life. And unlike failure, regret doesn't teach you anything. It just sits there, heavy and unrelenting, reminding you of the chances you didn't take. Meet Sarah. Sarah always wanted to skydive, but she was terrified of heights. For years, she talked herself out of it, saying, maybe next year. Then one day she realized something. She wasn't afraid of jumping out of a plane. She was afraid of regretting never doing it. So she took the leap, and while the experience was terrifying, it was also exhilarating. Sarah didn't just conquer her fear of heights. She conquered her fear of living with regret. Let's look at some of the most successful people in the world. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. What if they had let failure stop them? What if they had chosen the safe path? Their stories remind us that failure is not the end. It's just a stepping stone on the path to greatness. J.K. Rowling was a single mother living on welfare when she wrote Harry Potter. She faced rejection after rejection, but she kept going. Why? Because she believed in her story. She knew that even if she failed, she would have no regrets. And today, her books have sold over 500 million copies worldwide. Imagine if she had given up after the first rejection. The world would have missed out on one of the most beloved stories of all time. Michael Jordan once said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Jordan's failures didn't define him. They propelled him forward. They taught him resilience, determination, and the importance of perseverance. So how do you overcome the fear of failure? Start small. Take one step toward your dream, no matter how tiny. Write that first sentence. Make that first phone call. Sign up for that class. Every great journey begins with a single step. And remember, failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Each failure brings you closer to your goal, as long as you keep going. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine yourself 10 years from now. You're looking back on your life. Did you take the chances you wanted to take? Did you pursue your dreams? Or did you let fear hold you back? Now imagine a different future, one where you took action, where you embraced failure as part of the journey. How does that feel? Hold on to that feeling. Let it guide you. Consider Mark. Mark spent 20 years in a corporate job he hated, dreaming of opening his own bakery. He was afraid of failing, of losing his stability, of what people would say. But one day he realized he was more afraid of looking back on his life and wondering, what if? So he took the leap. The first year was tough, but now Mark's bakery is thriving. More importantly, he's thriving. He's living a life without regret. I always wanted to travel, but I was scared to quit my job. Last year, I finally did it. I sold everything and bought a one-way ticket to Southeast Asia. It was the best decision of my life. I was terrified of public speaking, but I joined a Toastmasters group. Now I speak at conferences and inspire others to face their fears. I started painting as a hobby, even though I thought I wasn't good enough. Last month, I sold my first piece. It's never too late to start. Life is short, too short to live in fear, too short to let regret dictate your story. Failure is not the worst thing that can happen to you. The worst thing is never trying at all. So I challenge you, what's one thing you've been putting off because you're afraid to fail? What's one dream you've been too scared to chase? Take that first step. Embrace the possibility of failure. Because even if you fail, you'll have no regrets. And that, my friends, is a life well lived. Here's your challenge. Before this video ends, write down one thing you've been too afraid to pursue, then take one small step toward it. It doesn't have to be big, just one step. And remember, you're not alone. Every great journey begins with a single step. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Remember, the spark you need is already within you. All you have to do is ignite it. Until next time, take action, embrace failure, and live a life without regret. This is Inner Spark, signing off.